Hey, Bisky.
Hey, Pookie.
So, we took a Christmas break.
Extended Christmas break. We did.
That's right, last Christmas. And now that's
not
finally...
long, really.
It has been.
Wow.
And now it's finally over, our Christmas break. And it's time to get back to work. So here we are.
Here we are at Christmas time. Merry Christmas, everyone.
That's right. If anyone does listen anymore, well, really, if anyone...
Or any less.
I mean, they did some. But if you do, Merry Christmas. It's coming, the season of joy. I don't give a rat's patootie about the Christmas is pagan guys and their beards. I don't care about their beards either. I love Christmas.
Or the
If we have
SJW.
anything...
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, if we have anything to be joyful about, it was the day that Jesus came.
Amen to that.
You know, the resurrection is wonderful, and the ascension is wonderful. It's all wonderful, but Christmas had to happen first. And we can even, we can argue about where the name came from, and
I won't.
Any of that silly stuff. I guess it's not silly. I mean, if people have concerns, I get it, but I think it's important to have joy and
an acknowledgement of where that joy begins.
Right, and it really was the day. All the Christmas carols, all the good old Christmas carols talk about it. That the hope of men came, and that salvation came to earth, and that God came to tabernacle with men. And you can use all of these high and lifted up kind of phrases, and they all, it's the one time that they all really apply. And so I adore Christmas, and I love decorating my house for it and talking about it and thinking about it and singing Christmas carols. And
well, it is the most wonderful time of the year.
It is the most wonderful time of the year. So, Bisky, we've been gone a year. Well, close to it. A lot's changed.
A lot has changed.
Tell us about it. Where have we been this year? What's been going on?
Well, we've got a new addition.
That's true.
Young Theodore. We call him Ted. He is a handsome lad.
He is.
Number two boy of the 7. There's 5 girls, 2 boys, and this fella was born right here at home, in the very bed in which he was conceived, and he is. We did it unassisted, just the 2 of us. We went free birth, and it was, with our last one, almost 2-year-old. She was born with a midwife here in the house, and a swimming pool in the front, a wading pool in the front yard. Or not the front yard.
The front yard, Bisky. For shame, you'll make the people
room.
think we're hippies.
No, we at least gone in the backyard. It was February.
It was February.
It was cold. But she was born with the aid of a midwife, and we decided not to go that route because we essentially did it on our own that time too, which is another. That midwife didn't do a whole lot once she was here. When she was getting later than I was comfortable with her getting here. But
well, she was real handy when it was time to clean the pool up. You didn't have to mess with that, so that was nice.
That's true. And Sacagawea was here.
That's right. She was. She was far more helpful than the midwife was.
Yeah.
I've said it a million times. I wish I could have the money back that we had to give that midwife. I'd give it to Jen. Joia.
Sacagawea.
Yeah, I would.
But
so Teddy's nursing right now. By the way, he's passing some gas. So I don't know if these new microphones are sensitive enough to pick that up. But
you might hear some slurping and pooting.
If you do, it's not me or Bisky.
Sure.
I promise you.
It might be me. I don't know.
It's not you. I won't make you any smoothies when it's time to sit down.
So he was born here.
That's right.
The 2 of us. And it was, it was something that Pookie did a lot of research on, and I insisted that she would, be comfortable with it, But I was on board. I didn't have the, I'm not the one carrying the baby, and with the rising costs of medical care, and the fact that, women have been given birth naturally for thousands of years, it just seemed like it was the right thing to do. Maybe, it certainly was the most natural thing to do. And I actually was, the first of all of our children that I actually got to catch. And I had never been south of the equator before, so I got to see this little guy first.
Sorry.
I was the first one to put my hands on him, and I think it was very special. It was very lovely. I wasn't quite prepared for
how funny looking he was.
Yeah. So he
Yeah,
he wasn't ugly by
it.
He was ugly by
that's for sure.
Yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't ugly or anything or grotesque. It was like I'm used to. The rest of them, they've just been handed to me crying already. So, it took him a minute, to come all the way out, and it was just so neat. It was just so neat to see the whole thing, and it's an experience I wouldn't trade for a bazillion bucks for anything. So I encourage you dads out there, or potential dads, to of course y'all have to agree, but do your best to be there to want to be there to catch your child.
Yeah, whether it's at home or at a hospital, we think that at home is best for us, but it's not necessarily going to be best for everybody. And then whether you have a midwife or, do things yourself at home, obviously it's also another huge choice. But wherever you are, you have choices. You're the boss. You're paying for those services, the doctors, the nurses. And as long as, this is a healthy pregnancy and a healthy delivery, and there's no reason for medical intervention in the delivery, then you have that right, and you need to. I would suggest that you plan to insist on that, to let them know from the get-go that you want to be the one that catches your child, and refuse to accept any other options, unless like I say, there are medical issues. But you have that right, and a lot of people, as strange as it seems, a lot of people don't know. A lot of people, I think they forget, because doctors have those degrees. I think that they forget that they're the customer.
Well, on the flip side too, I can see where a dad might be a little nervous about it, not want to do it just because.
Well, if he doesn't want to, then he shouldn't.
Yeah, that's true. You're very true, but the trepidation there that can happen when if that's something that's. It's natural for her to have the baby and natural for the baby to come, but it really is natural for we've been programmed, I guess, by, the medical system, or, TV and books and stuff about, having a baby, having a doctor deliver your baby. And so it probably has caused a lot of people to feel like they're not capable of doing it, or just
right.
Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? It's really the easiest thing. And I actually I delivered that baby, and there's it's a little more than there's a little more to it than just catching him, and I'll leave it at that. But a wonderful experience.
It was, and it's like I say, free birth wouldn't be for everybody. This was my 7th child, my 6th birth actually. My first birth was twins. So I've done this a bunch, And we lived just 5 minutes away from an excellent hospital. We had great family support and friend support. And I did just tons and tons of research. And I was a member of several groups on Facebook that had midwives and doulas also as members that were happy to answer questions. And the Facebook groups are searchable. Pregnancies are, the order of things is very different, and the magnitude of things is very different from one woman to the next. But pregnancy by and large is pretty standard. There's morning sickness, there's backaches, there's yeast infections, there's all this unpleasant stuff, and just whether it happens to you or how bad it is really the only question. And so if you have access to these groups that are full of hundreds and some of them thousands of women who are all wanting the same information, and you can search, you can really get a lot of answers for the same things that you would ordinarily call a nurse. Leave a message at the doctor's office for a nurse and get her to call you back. She would tell you the same thing. If you say, oh, I don't know, I'm 6 months pregnant, and I have this cough that's really bugging me. What can I take while I'm pregnant? You can look that up, because there are these sort of like pregnancy hobbyists in this group, and they all have a niche. There's the one that practically has the what medicines are okay for babies website memorized, and every single time somebody asks a question about what cold medicine to take when you're pregnant, she's already got the screenshot.
Well, I'm sure there's an oil for that too.
Huh?
I'm sure there's an oil for that.
There's always an oil for that. But anyway, so you can find a lot of information in those Facebook groups. I know Facebook groups can be pretty silly, but then at the same time, when you're talking about a serious, a physical thing that is something that isn't relative or based on ideas, you can really count on large groups of people.
Well, it's like anything else. You buy something, you look at the reviews,
right?
And you know what to, how to separate the wheat from the chaff, as they say,
right?
And figure out who the trolls are and what's good information, and do your own research based on suggestions and ideas that other people put forth. So,
yeah, I mean, as long as you don't treat any of those women like like they're a doctor. Really, you shouldn't even treat a doctor like he's a doctor. You should always know. The information is out there. We should all always know what our options are. I don't mean to say that people should diagnose their own diseases and then come up with their own cures, which you should if you can. But if you're uncertain about anything, then you certainly need professional help. But we should always know though what our options are, and we should not be willing to treat doctors as though they're in charge of us. They're not. They're there to give us our options and then perform the service that we choose to pay for. Period. And informed consent is something that's desperately lacking in America. We have, as Americans, we've been sold a lie that medical care should be prophylactic, that, preventative, like a condom, that we should spend lots of time and lots of money trying to prevent things. That's what obstetric care is. They don't do anything unless something goes wrong, like the cops. They show up when your 7-Eleven's getting shook down. they don't hang around there making sure it doesn't happen.